Hey kids! A couple videos ago, I made a video talking about the then new Indiana Jones movie, kind of just going over its archaeological validity and whether or not I, as an archaeologist myself, put a lot of faith in the description of the artifact in the movie, the Antikythera. And because of that, I thought I'd do you guys all a favor and go over the rest of the Indiana Jones movies and talk about them and the artifacts they're centered around. I don't really think there's anyone out there who really cares enough about Indiana Jones at this point in 2024 for this video to be relevant at all. But I recently watched the first Indiana Jones movie again. Like, that can't be for nothing. So today I'm here to tell you the real history behind these movies. So the next time you sit down to watch a Steven Spielberg classic with whoever is still watching these movies, you can be just as insufferable as me and point out all the historical inaccuracies. Your friends are going to love it. I promise. It's actually so fun for them. Let's start at the beginning of time, which in the Indiana Jones universe is 1936. Now, Indy is just running through Peru, stirring shit up, of course, with a group of people I assume he's just asked to be his personal guides to the temple of the Chachapoyan warriors. Immediately I have some qualms about this temple. Like, we're not even 2 minutes in. First of all, it's not real. The Chachapoyans were a real ancient people and were actually also called the warriors of the clouds. So we're starting off pretty well there. I've decided to rank the plausibility of this movie in a little tier list so I can keep track. This is how plausible things can be on this list. Of course, we have this happened, which means it happened. Historically, archaeologically. The next one down is potential archaeologist consultant. I mean, I'm not going to say it with 100% certainty, but they've allowed for a little creative license and maybe someone was on board who knew what the was going on. Next, we've got, did Schliemann write this? And this basically means this didn't happen. You're just trying to make things more exciting for the plot. How dare they do that in a Hollywood movie, by the way? And last but not least, we've got Tumblr text posts, which means there's no way this happened. How did you even think people could think this happened? Everybody clapped. That's our little list. The existence of the Chachapoyan people, we're putting in this happened, because they did exist. The Chachapoyan people were a culture in the Andes living in the cloud forests of present-day Peru. The Inca Empire conquered the civilization in the 1470s, shortly before the Spanish conquest in the 16th century. And most of the information we have about them comes from stories told by the Incas to the Spanish after the conquest. And it's definitely plausible that this culture would have, at some point in time, had a temple of some description. That the temple would have looked anything like this, however, absolutely not. I have so many issues with this. Firstly, a temple is a place of worship. Why would you booby trap it? You're supposed to go in there and talk to God. This makes no sense. This is a trope in these kind of movies that you see all the time. And I get it, like, it's kind of fun. It adds some, like, exciting action, adds some good plot. But I'm a buzzkill. It's just so funny to think, like, what if we booby trapped, like, churches like this today? Walk in for Sunday mass and realize the priest forgot to turn off the spear cannon. Just, like, is that not the house of God? Is that not sacrilegious in some way? It's likely this idea that comes about of booby trapping ancient temples comes from a bit of a misinterpreted way of looking at Egyptian tombs. Tombs, as non-public spaces containing a shit ton of valuable grave goods, would sometimes have huge granite slabs in front blocking the entrance so no one would think of going in to steal all that good stuff. Didn't work out too well, unfortunately. But there has, as of yet, been no evidence for intricate booby traps in any temples in South America that have been able to remain active for hundreds or thousands of years. You know, as soon as I get out to excavate one, that's when all this is going to start becoming a reality and I'll just be so unprepared. Always good to stay vigilant. Anyway, that one's going in Tumblr text post because no, unbelievable and frankly, upsetting. Anyway, Indy makes it through these very plausible booby traps and manages to steal the Chachapoyan fertility idol. Just completely fictitious, not real. Did Schliemann write this? I bet he would too, you know? Pulls the classic switcheroo with the weighted bag. Not gonna lie, bit of a genius move. And he makes out the temple just for this French archaeologist to come and steal it. 10 out of 10 accuracy there. So now we've been introduced to cool, hot, on the field archaeologist Indiana Jones. But this guy's got layers. He's also cool, hot university professor Dr. Jones. This is me in 20 years. Because I guess he's the smartest person in this university. He is approached by 2 US Army intelligence guys who have just intercepted a cryptic Nazi message. And Indy helps interpret the message, which says something along the lines of, "We are Nazis and we know where the Ark of the Covenant is. Ha 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 ha." And so is introduced the main artifact and the main conflict of this film. Let's discuss. The Ark of the Covenant is an Old Testament relic, supposedly the most sacred and revered relic of the Israelites. It's first described in the book of Exodus when God tells Moses to build it during his 40-day stay on Mount Sinai. It's basically a big-ass wooden box which needs to hold the stone tablets which contain the 10 Commandments. Pretty important things. 10 of them. What would we do without them? That would be taking the Lord's name in vain all over the place, committing adultery, etc., not loving thy neighbor. So they're pretty important. It's essentially a physical manifestation of God's supreme power and his presence in general. Or so I'm told. That is what the Bible will have you believe. Solomon's temple is where we last get this idea of the Ark of the Covenant in the Bible. And it's believed that after that, the Ark is destroyed. Now, essentially, the plot of this movie is that the Nazis want the Ark because Hitler thinks it'll give them the power to raise an invincible army. Now, while the Nazis never actually sought after the Ark of the Covenant, that wasn't really their main goal in 1936, it's widely known that Hitler, or more accurately, his little bitch boy Heinrich Himmler, were obsessed with archaeology, pseudoscience, because they believed that this is where they would find proof of Germans being a superior race. In 1935, Himmler created the organization the Unearthing, and its first purpose was to find evidence for the accomplishments of the ancestors of modern Germans using, and I'm quoting, exact scientific methods. And its second purpose was to basically push this all out into the German public and be like, hey guys, look what our definite, really real ancestors did. We're the reason for modern day civilization. To do this, they poured a lot of money into archaeological investigations, the results and interpretations of which were always consciously altered to fit Hitler's beliefs, obviously. And considering at one point Himmler really wanted to try and harness the power of Thor's hammer, like the Nordic god Thor, I think it's potentially plausible that he could have at one point wanted to go after the Ark of the Covenant. However, this group was, I say this group, it was really Himmler. He was just, I feel like, on his own personal journey with this. They were a lot more interested in pagan and Nordic religious artifacts over Christian ones because they were really convinced that Germans descended from this line of Nordic people. And so they would very rarely be looking for biblical or Christian relics and artifacts. It's a little bit neither here nor there. I'm going to put it in potential archaeologist consultant. It's true, the Nazis were looking for all kinds of shit, but I don't think they would look for the Ark of the Covenant. Anyway, if there's one thing about Indiana Jones, he can't stand a Nazi. So he's so down to find this big ass box before they can. Okay, stay with me, please. To find the Ark of the Covenant, Indiana Jones first needs to find the headpiece of the Staff of Ra, because when the headpiece of the Staff of Ra is placed upon the staff at a very specific height inside a specific cave, it focuses a light beam on a small model of the ancient Egyptian city of Tanis and reveals the resting place of the Ark. Oh Lord, give me strength. This fuck-ass medallion, which is apparently the headpiece of the Staff of Ra, which I have to assume, despite my better judgment, is supposed to be an Egyptian artifact, is going to show you where the Ark of the Covenant is. Last we heard that it was in Solomon's temple. Also, Ra's staff looks like this. Why is the medallion a circle? Why is Ra's medallion inscribed with Paleo-Hebrew script? Don't bring my buddy Ra into this. He had nothing to do with it. I just don't understand why they did this. Obviously, the headpiece of the Staff of Ra doesn't exist. And don't even get me started on this little maneuver. Tumblr text post. There is nothing here that makes sense. Oh, and guess who we definitely know for sure has this medallion, which I'm still not convinced ever belonged to Ra? Indy's ex-situationship, of course. This is Marion, and she's chilling in a bar in Nepal. I want to be her when I grow up. After causing irreparable damage to this bar, they run off to Cairo, where we learn that the Nazis have made a replica of the medallion from when it was seared into one of their palms during that run-in in the bar in Nepal. We get the translation of the medallion, telling Indy where the Ark is, and we also get the reveal that Marion's alive. All right. Indy is by winning right now. He wins here and he wins there. So they're digging and they're going to find the Ark, but womp womp. It's a pit of snakes.
Why did it have to be snakes?
2 out of 10 plausibility. All the archaeologists that I know love snakes. Anyway, he manages to get through, brave soldier, and he finds the Ark. Honestly, this scene kind of goes hard as Biblical accounts of the Ark describe it as large, made of gold-plated wood, and topped with 2 large golden angels. It was carried using poles that would go through its sides because you couldn't actually touch it otherwise. And now, if we compare this biblically accurate rendition of what the Ark potentially looked like to what we get in the film, it's not too bad. It looks pretty good. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. There's always room for improvement. And also, this didn't really exist. So how accurate can you be with an artifact that isn't real? Just because I have personally never spoken to God and asked about the look of the Ark of the Covenant, I have to put this in the second tier. When I do see them, it will be my first question. I'll come back and let you guys know. Now, there's literally 40 minutes of this movie left. Indiana Jones and the Nazis, they just kind of play catch with the Ark for a while. But the Nazis end up opening it. And it's given Pandora's box for real. Indy and Marion are tied up. He tells her to close her eyes, and the Nazis all look inside the box. And it's beautiful. It's all the secrets of the earth. It's all the power you could ever imagine unfolded right before your eyes. What could go wrong? Only the wrath of God. It starts to get freaky, and it's that kind of 1981 special effects freaky. Shit is genuinely terrifying. Horrifying spirit faces are emerging. People's faces are getting burnt off and melted, and the Ark kills them all. Kills all the Nazis. Now, because Indy and Marion were smart enough to close their eyes, they're good. Like, they're totally fine. Now, assuming that the accounts from the Bible are real and true and not fictitious or allegorical or metaphorical in any way, Jewish and Christian holy scriptures dictate that the Ark of the Covenant can only be carried by the Levites, who was like the priestly Jewish class. And they have to carry the Ark using the 2 poles inserted on the sides. They cannot physically touch it because, like, immediate death, just immediately. According to the 2nd book of Samuel, a guy named Uzzah touched the hand with his ark in order to steady it. Poor guy. Oh, he did not know what he was getting into. Yeah, God instantly killed him. And although there's no mention, or at least I couldn't find a mention of anyone ever opening the ark and like looking inside, I assume if you open it, you would have to touch it. And I feel like it's the same sort of offense as touching it is opening it. So I'm putting this in 7 out of 10. Potential archaeologist consultant. The literal wrath of God annihilating Nazis on screen with 1980s special effects. Like, this is cinema. 5-year-old Meech saw this and just decided to become an archaeologist. So Indy goes back to the US with the Ark in tow, and he is assured by the 2 US Army intelligence guys from the beginning that they've got top men working on it and studying it. In reality, what we see is that the Ark of the Covenant is sealed in a wooden crate and stored in a giant warehouse filled with millions, billions of other crates. Now this is the most accurate part of this film. Priceless historical artifact gets boxed up and put in the archives, probably never to be seen again. Yeah, baby, this happened. This has happening, and this is happening. The British Museum, for example, has a total of 8 million artifacts at its disposal. Do you want to guess how many artifacts it has on display at any one time? 80,000. Like, as in less than 100,000. There are so many like invaluable artifacts that are just relegated to the archives that we'll never get to see, and it breaks my heart. I know, it's almost like maybe if you just gave all those artifacts back to who they belonged, to be able to see them and they could be displayed in their own museums. But what do I know? And there you go. That's my ranking of the plausibility of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, no. I'll go. No, I'll go. It's fine. I'll go. I'll leave. It's okay. I'll hang up. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful life. Actually, why would I stop at wishing you a wonderful day? I'm just going to wish you a wonderful life now, so I never have to wish you a good day ever again. Bye.